Alright, hi you guys. So this video is very different for me as far as, I'm used to the setup, I'm used to filming a whole lot, but what I'm not used to is knowing that I'm going to be sharing this video with people that I actually know. So it's going to be very different for me doing this, but this video is something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time. A lot of you know that we've been struggling with infertility, and I've just realized that a lot of people don't actually know what infertility actually means. Like, do you know what infertility is? What people go through when they do go through infertility, and what does infertility actually look like? So I've been spending like the last 41 months is how long we've been trying, posting videos on YouTube and sharing my story on Instagram, and as I like to call them, my little diaries. And I have not been sharing those with you guys just because, come on, do you really need to know when we're doing it? So I'm not going to be sharing my name that I use everywhere or whatever with you guys today, but this video will be up everywhere, including Facebook and stuff like that, for you guys to watch, and I hope that you guys really do. Now, the point of this video for me is just to share with you guys what our story actually looks like, and just to give you a glimpse of what infertility looks like for a lot of people out there. Stats like 1 in 8 couples is going to experience this are very, very great. So chances are that a lot of people that you do know actually used to struggle with infertility or are currently struggling with infertility, and you just don't know because everybody, it is a very private subject. So a lot of people like to keep it to themselves, which I understand, but I also don't understand because it keeps people uneducated and just insensitive in regards to what actually happens. So this video for me is going to be hard to film, but something that I really want to share to bring awareness out there. So that is the purpose for this video for me today. Okay, so what does infertility look like to you, or what do you think infertility is? My guess is that you either think we just don't know how the birds and bees work, or that you just assume that something's either wrong with me or with Matt. And in that case, you are partially right. Something is actually wrong with me. I'm the problem in this infertility journey. And at the beginning, I wasn't aware that I was the problem. If you ever start trying for a baby, you're just in a very big bubble of thinking everything's going to happen perfectly, and it doesn't actually happen that way for a lot of people. And that's exactly why I'm here to share our story and bring awareness to the problem. So what actually happened is, when we started trying, I was diagnosed with something called PCOS, which is actually also known as polycystic ovary syndrome. So what is PCOS, you might ask? PCOS means that I have a lot of cysts on my ovaries, which prevent me from ovulating properly, which means my cycles are very long, and there's no chance of me getting pregnant the way that it is without actual medication. PCOS is also something that a lot of women actually struggle with and don't realize till a later time, far later on. It's something a lot of women end up being overweight. A lot of women have unwanted hair growth. A lot of women have a huge struggle to get pregnant and stay pregnant. And those are all things that I'm obviously struggling with. So the next time that you see somebody overweight or with those symptoms, I hope that you maybe think about this video and think about what could actually be going on with them. Okay, so after finding out that I had PCOS, I was put on a medication that I like to call hell on earth. I was put on that medication, and there was just so many side effects for me, and after 2 months I physically had to stop the medication, because at that point it was so crazy that taking it and trying to have a baby was not even important anymore, because I was just so sick of it. But I won't get into any details because it's just simply gross. So after stopping, we ended up seeking help from another doctor who ended up wanting to do an HSG test. Now, an HSG test is something where I went to the hospital, and basically you lay on an x-ray table, and they use a catheter and they shove it up where and they use a bunch of dye to fill up your uterus to see if your tubes are unblocked. And for the procedure, Matt was obviously with me, but he was not allowed to come back there with me to be there for me because, and this was an actual rule, They did not allow husbands in with the women or boyfriends or whatever because the husbands had a history of getting very protective, overseeing their wives in pain during the procedure, and they weren't taking actions on it, and they just couldn't take the risk. Sounds great, right? Sounds like a lot of fun, and it was. It was so much fun, but luckily it turned out that there was no blockages for me, and we got the go-ahead to try fertility medication. Now I started on 2.5 milligrams, which I did not end up responding to, which was obviously very upsetting because you had your hopes up very high that this was the solution to your problem, and it ended up not being that. So they upped my dosage to 5 milligram, and for the first time in like 19 or 20 months, I had a cycle off of birth control. It ended up working. I was ovulating and everything happened perfectly, but we did not conceive. So we ended up trying again for the second month, 5 milligram again. And again, everything worked out perfectly. And this is what happened. And this is the digi. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, it would seem that we're pregnant. This is a little bit crazy, especially now that we're like reading pregnant. It is like, I don't want to let go of that test. It's crazy. It really is. So, I'm pregnant. Now, everything was going great with the pregnancy. Everything was going right on schedule. We had an appointment at 7 weeks to go have an ultrasound, and that experience was horrible due to the ultrasound tech that we had that day, but we got to see baby and we got to see a heartbeat and everything looked great. Now, we were talking to my doctor after and just explained to her how bad of an experience we actually had because Matt wasn't allowed in to the end and all blah, 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 a bunch of stuff went on, and the tech was just very rude, which I'm not going to get into, but the doctor actually prescribed us to go for another ultrasound just to kind of ease our minds with everything. So about a week later, we actually went back in again, and we were assuming that we were going to be able to hear heartbeat this time around, but things took a turn for the worse for us, and we heard the worst words and the most painful words you're ever going to hear in your whole life, and they were, your baby no longer has a heartbeat. The whole point of this video really, or this channel really, was to kind of keep a diary of my feelings and my emotions and everything that goes along with trying to have a baby, and this is part of it apparently. So as many of you know, like, we were trying for 2 years now, like 22 months, when we finally conceived for the first time and got our big fat positive. And it obviously took us a long time to get here, or to where we were, I guess. So we finally conceived and everything was fine until our first ultrasound on September 1st, where I should have been 7 weeks and 5 days according to my last monthly period. But the baby was measuring first around like 5 weeks and 5 days, and then they measured again and then they stretched it out a little bit and it measured at 6 weeks and 1 day. So it was about like 10 days or so behind. Doctor had like a little sheet, I guess, that they wrote everything down that they seen on the ultrasound. And just reading black on white that your baby no longer has a heartbeat is just...
It's really hard. So, yeah, reading that was, I think, the worst thing yet. Because it just seemed so, like, yeah, there it is, black on white. So at that point, like, I was just worse than this. Just a sobbing mess. We want to get pregnant again. We want our little baby. And the fact that we're literally so close. And we've seen the baby and we've seen a heartbeat, and it just doesn't seem real right now. As much as it hurts, but it doesn't seem real. It's just like a nightmare. Like, I know a lot of you probably went through the same thing before, or know somebody that did, or heck, I know a lot of people that did, and I watched videos of people getting miscarriages over and over and over again, but you never think it's gonna happen to you. Like, you struggle so long to get here, and you finally do, and then it gets taken away.
I know, that wasn't pretty to watch, was it? And believe me, after, like, having seen this clip for a million times, and it still doesn't get any easier actually watching it myself. Obviously, it's just not something pretty to look at, but this is what it looks like. These are raw emotions that I felt that time and technically still feel to this day. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, and that's something big for me to open up like that to people everywhere. But like I said, this is a much bigger meaning to me than just sharing our story. Now, another thing that people don't realize about this whole infertility thing and thus miscarriage actually is, because I was only around like 8-9 weeks pregnant, there's not much they can do. We had the option of a D&C, which means they go in and they take the baby. I could have taken a pill to make me go into like labor and pass the baby, or I had the option to wait, and I chose to wait, which meant waiting around for it to happen, knowing that your baby is no longer alive inside of you, and actually passing the baby into your toilet at home. And those words, they might come easy off my lips right now, but I'm just trying to get a point across of how real this really is. Now, obviously, after the loss, it took us a while to like get the like energy and the emotional stress off of us to try again. But obviously, we ended up trying again. Now, for a lot of people, trying means, well, you just have unprotected sex, don't you? Like, it's fun, just do it and it's gonna happen. Well, it's not that simple, especially not when you're actually dealing with infertility and the treatments and everything else that is involved. For a lot of us, that actually means taking your medication. For me personally, it means getting up every morning at 2 a.m. You have an alarm set, you take your temperature every morning, you chart it, and your chart ends up telling you when you ovulated. So you barely get any sleep because you just kind of wake up for that, and then your night's kind of over. You obsess about your chart all month long waiting for ovulation to happen. Now, there's also things that are called OPKs. OPKs are ovulation predicting kits, which means they're little kind of like pregnancy test looking things that you pee on 2 to 3 times a day, depending on how obsessed you are about things. And believe me, you do get more and more obsessed with every month that goes by without actually being pregnant. And so you pee on these 2 to 3 times a day, and they tell you whether or not you're close to ovulating, which then means having sex. Now, you think that that's the fun part, right? You finally get to have sex. It's time to make a baby. Well, after doing this for so long, believe me, it just becomes a job. And this is like really TMI to talk about, but it really is. It's at this point, it is just a job. You're trying to have a baby, you're trying to do this, you're not drinking any alcohol, you're restraining from caffeine, you're doing all these things so everything is perfect, and then you just have to have sex. Whether you want to or not, it's kind of like we have to right now. My clock's ticking. So it's not very easy, and it's not as fun as people make it sound. That's for sure. Now, another thing for me personally with my PCOS and these OPK tests is that due to my PCOS, my body actually tries to ovulate a couple times, which means these tests will go off multiple times a month, indicating that I could be ovulating, but my body ends up not ovulating, and then it tries again and it doesn't, and it tries again and it doesn't. So it doesn't actually make things that much easier for us, but it's just another thing that you end up obsessing over. So back to our first loss. So our first baby would have been due on April 15th, 2016. Now on that day last year, this is what happened. Well, it's been kind of a weird morning so far. Today is April 15th and it's our due date for our angel baby. So I don't know, something told me again to test this morning. I have been testing for a couple of days, but so far I can't really say that I've seen anything, and now I've been taking a bunch of wand falls and they all seem to have a faint line. So over there is the first response. So we're just waiting to see what happens, and I guess I'll film in about 5 minutes when we should be able to see a result. Wish us luck. Alright, so it's been about 3 minutes right now, so we're gonna check.
Let me see. Oh.
Oh my god, guys.
I do the other one too now.
It's definitely there. I'll try to show it, but I don't know
Well,
if
you can
it'll...
probably see it on the camera, I would think.
Oh my god.
You might be able to
Oh,
see it.
okay, let me try to get this.
You should try this one.
I think you guys can see it. But 2 short weeks later, we ended up having lighter pregnancy tests again, which meant my HCG was dropping and I started bleeding shortly after, which meant a second loss for us. Now, infertility, a lot of people think is only related to trying to conceive, which is the main part of it, but a lot of us actually struggle with losses as well. So not only does it take you forever to even get pregnant, but losing them just makes it that much harder because you've been even waiting so long to get pregnant in the first place. And then obviously with all of the struggle to conceive in the first place, to like try and get there and then losing it, plays a lot with your mind. Like a lot. There is so much that comes into play. All of the financial stress, the hundreds and hundreds and thousands of dollars that you spend month after month, really adding up, because you're spending it on medications, on these tests, on treatments, on pregnancy tests, on anything really. And the biggest thing is that infertility like medications and treatments are not covered by any healthcare. So you're on your own when it comes to this kind of subject. So obviously it is very upsetting, nonetheless, not just financially obviously, but it is a big burden as well, because there's only so far that you can go with your money. There's only so many things that you can try depending on your budget, and it just really doesn't seem fair when you're not capable of spending thousands and thousands and hundreds and thousands of dollars on fertility things. So to go through all of this and end up with nothing is just very heartbreaking. As of right now, I think unofficially, because we still haven't said the words, but I think that we're done trying. And like I said, I think that has to do with the fact of financial issues, that has to do with the marriage issues, quite frankly, that we've been having, with fighting, with being upset, with being emotional, with being all of these things. And it has to do with just the emotional drain of all of this. We've obviously been through a lot during this TTC journey, but just the last couple of months have been so hard. So hard, because even though I can't say that I'm stressed out about trying, because honestly it's not like we were trying. It's not like I took my temps every day. It's not like I used OBKs. It's not like we were like, hey, we need to baby dance every second day. None of that ever happened, which was relaxing in that regard. But It's just because we didn't do any of those things, it probably didn't happen again. And with it not happening again, honestly, what is there to look forward to right now? Nothing really. I think you just get to that point where you're just over it. Like in October, it'll be like on my birthday, it'll be like 3 years of us trying. And that's a long time. And I remember starting this, I remember starting this channel. And I remember like all the women that like I started talking to within like the first couple of months that were like, hey, yeah, we've been around the same time, like we've been trying as long as you, and now they're either on, like they either just had their baby, they're pregnant right now, or they're already on to baby number 2, and I'm still here with nothing. Which is really, really hard. Now, while you're in this TTC bubble, there is things that you go through every single month. It is an emotional roller coaster, to say the least. Like waiting for your period. When you do get your period, start your medication. When you have your medication and you finished it, you wait for ovulation. While you're waiting for ovulation, you're taking your temperature and charting, taking OPKs, taking vitamins, taking anything that you can think of that you've Googled that could possibly help, that helps somebody else. Once ovulation arrives, you're obsessing about perfectly timing sex. Once that is passed, you're just obsessing about the 2-week wait, is what we call it, from ovulation until pregnancy test is approximately 14 days. Some women can test earlier, some can't test until your period's already late. The closer you get to that, the more you obsess about, can I see a line? Can't I see a line? Is there maybe like a faint line? For a lot of people, and for me too, it was always like you take a pregnancy test and there's going to be 2 like lines for sure. For a lot of us, we obsess about seeing a faint line so that we know we're pregnant, because then we have to take even more medication to make sure baby sticks, that kind of stuff. Like there's so much emotional strain, and then your period ends up showing up, or you get negative pregnancy test and you just break down every single month. There has been so many times, just like that last video, where you're literally laying in the bathroom floor with a negative pregnancy test, crying your heart out, thinking like the world is over, it's never gonna happen, you're over this, you're done, you don't want to try anymore, you just can't. And then maybe a couple minutes pass, maybe an hour passes, maybe a couple days pass, and you think about how badly you want this baby. And you pick yourself up off the floor and you try again, and you go through all of it all over again. Now, in that last clip that you guys saw, that was one of our low points in our trying to conceive history. From that point on, we decided that we wanted to seek help and that we wanted to give a bigger fertility treatment one try, which is an IUI. Now, an IUI is short for like insemination, pretty much. So that's what we ended up doing. We went to a private fertility clinic in Edmonton, and we spent a lot of money on treatments, on testing, on medications, on everything. And especially parking downtown is very expensive too, and it adds up when you have to go like every second day for monitoring. And you go through all of this. We even tried injections.
Just gonna grab here. Okay, going in. And then the thing I just want you to do is I just want you to keep on breathing, okay? Mm-hmm. And then it's going in. I'm almost done. Just gonna wait a couple seconds there. There. Okay.
And you have your hopes very high that it'll actually work out, and then it does not again. and you're back to square one of your finances, deciding whether or not you're going to be parents to a living child, I should say. So now we sit here on April 15th, 2017. We don't have a 1-year-old running around. We don't have a little baby in our arms from our second pregnancy, and we're currently not pregnant. 41 months of this living hell, and we got nowhere so far. So this video is not supposed to be something where you're supposed to comment and tell me how sorry you are or anything like that. I'm not asking for people to like shower us with their apologies. That is not what this video is. Me personally, I have made it my goal to share this journey as good as I can and to bring awareness to people that have no idea. And I hope that this video opens up your eyes for the next time that you want to bother a couple of, when are you going to have a baby? Shouldn't you have a baby? Maybe they're already trying and they're just not sharing it with you because they're struggling to have one. The next time you want to give somebody advice, like, just relax, it'll happen when you least expect it. I hope that you think of women like me, that if we relaxed and didn't take any medication, we would have no chance at all. And maybe stop stressing on people that don't go on vacations, that don't buy fancy things, because their money's going to infertility treatments that probably cost a whole lot more money than a lot of other things, like a lot of other people could afford. I hope that it was kind of educational for you guys to watch this, and I hope that this TMI video kind of helped you guys understand what infertility looks like for a lot of us. And when I say 1 in 8, that's an actual like number that is out there, that 1 in 8 couples will go through this. And I know a lot of you guys on my Facebook friend list are going through the exact same thing, that have come across my videos because you're researching things and you're trying to find women that go through the same thing that you can relate to. And that's what I've always wanted to be, is one of those women that are there for others and there for people to relate. So thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's a long video and I hope you did watch all the way to the end. This video will be dedicated to 2 beautiful angels up in heaven. I hope that we're making you 2 very proud with what we're sharing with other people to help ease their pain. So thank you guys again, and I'll maybe see you later. Bye.